Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. I built a mountain lodge. It's super luxurious. I built this in granite forts. It's the perfect home for your Sims, but you could also use this build for your Sims to go on vacation. But before we start, I just wanted to quickly remind you that I'm still hosting a giveaway for a Sims 4 pack of your choice for PC. The giveaway ends on July 30 and it's super simple to enter. All you have to do is download Disney Emoji Blitz using my link in the description, get to level 10, take a screenshot, and tag me on Instagram. My handle is @KateEmerald. Additionally, anything you spend in the game will help support me as the link acts as a creator code. So thank you so much and good luck to all of you. But let's talk about the house. So I built a mountain lodge. Granite forts is just perfect for this. And the shape of the house is relatively simple or conventional. There's not a lot of crazy stuff going on. It's not too out of the ordinary. That's what I'm trying to say. But I wanted to add some really fun details. You already saw the pool at the beginning. But I also wanted to have some custom columns. And you can see the column here. I'm placing it using tool. So what I did was I combine different objects, because when you look at all these really fancy builds on Pinterest, like real life mountain cabins and stuff, you will see that they have some really spectacular huge columns, and the default columns aren't this spectacular in the game, so I created my own one. I used different objects. At the base I used a pedestal from Vampires, then I used a debug rock from Eco Lifestyle. I sized it down. I had to use tool to scale it down a bit, because when I was trying to do it the conventional way, it wasn't small enough for my liking. I used a debug column in the center from the base game, and then another debug column which is wooden, and then I was happy. And here at this point it doesn't look too spectacular yet, the column I mean, but later on I'm going to combine multiple of them and they're kind of stacked on top of each other and it looks much better. I just really enjoy to do this. I never really assemble my own objects like this, but this was a really fun experience. I also saved this as a room to my library just to be sure. I learned this from Sadie, who always assembles her own objects. Like, she's just on a different level. Like, I just admire her work so much, as you know. And I learned that it's always good to save a room like this to the library. You're just on, I don't know, just to be safe, so you can place it over and over again. I decided to use tool to duplicate this object, so once it was assembled I duplicated it, but I could have also just placed it from the library. And here you can see that I'm already making some changes to the columns and I wasn't really sure what to do, but then I just expanded them at the bottom, like the base. I just added more rocks and then the other one on top later, and then it just gave the whole house a completely different look. A house like this, which is relatively simple when it comes to the shape, just needs some really fun details. I also used lots of shells to create some custom exterior trims, just as in the old days on this channel, and I just tried to make this look extra special. Here at this point I noticed that I didn't place the doorway in the right side in the correct spot, which is where the pool is a bit big on one side. I fixed this and then I placed a base game debug rock just to have a guideline. I always do this, as you know, and I wanted to create a round shape, and for this I used the same debug rock from Eco Lifestyle that I have used to create my columns. This way the color is just identical. It has the same vibe and look. I don't really like to use lots of different rocks because I don't know, I just don't like the look. I really like to use different plants and all that when I landscape, but when it comes to rocks, especially bug rocks, I always use like one type or just the same color. I don't know, I think it looks just so beautiful. And here the columns just look so good already. I really like this. You can see that now it just makes more sense than just stacking them on top of each other without making any changes. I just had to add more rocks at the bottom, and then I just had my round shape finished, and I was able to just place some rocks on the outside because I wanted this to look really clean and kind of man-made, not really natural, but at the same time I wanted to add some rocks to make it look more natural and organic. And also this was a little trick to hide the pool, because here you can see how I'm building the pool and all my base game rocks are hiding the edge. This made it really easy to build this. You can also see that when I'm just finishing the rest of the pool, that the rocks on the outside are just hiding the pool. And this way I'm able to create this round shape. It's also possible to only use these equalized style rocks. I did this for a recent build, but here in this case I just like the look, and it was really easy to do. I also placed some rocks up there just to make it look more natural. So it's a nice mix of some modern elements, some huge windows which look modern, but also lots of rocks, just exactly the vibe that I love when I'm building in granite forts usually. I also added some corbels. Then I added a debug object, like some type of wooden piece, just I don't know, for whatever reason. I just wanted this to look like some type of awning, which is why I placed some corbels below, so it looks like the corbels are supporting this wood piece. I don't know if it makes sense, but it just added a bit of detail to the whole build. And then I built a sofa in the center around the column. This is a sectional sofa from the Dream Home Decorator pack. I just wanted to place something in the center that makes sense, and I thought it would make a lot of sense to just sit there and to chill and to hang out. And then I started to work on the basement a bit. I then stopped. I finished the basement later on, but my idea was to add a pool, so your Sims will be able to go down there. There will be some stairs in the house on the inside, and then they can just take a swim, so it's completely functional. And then I built some spiral stairs. I used the tool mod. I used a base game debug object for this, and as you already know, because I've used this object so many times, your Sims are able to walk through this object, so you can hide some real proper stairs inside, and it's functional. That's what I did. So your Sims won't actually walk on each individual step, but there are some stairs hidden on the inside, so it's functional. So that's what I did. I just wanted to add, as I said, as much detail as possible to make it look a bit fancy. I also used my beloved snowy escape windows. And the roofing was something else. Like, I didn't want this whole thing to look too boxy. Like, I was really scared that the whole shape would look too boring. The problem was I used so much space for the whole walk out basement situation that I really had to make sure that I create a nice looking house, but I didn't have a lot of space. So I tried to again add more detail. So I wanted to have a nice roof decoration. I used the tool mod and a base game debug object for this, just a column. I rotated it and I just created this roof decoration. I once again have forgotten what this is really called. I have no idea. You have told me a couple of times whenever I'm mentioning this, but I have no idea what this is called. I just call this the fancy roof decoration, and I built something similar for different roofs on this build, but I really wanted this one in the center to stand out because it's kind of the main roof in the center. I don't know if this makes sense. It's kind of the main roof, the star of the roofing, and I wanted the roof decoration for this one to really stand out. And it's really simple. You just have to rotate stuff, and that's it. I made a tool tutorial recently, a new one. You can find it in my tutorial playlist. So in case you want to learn more about this mod, you can go check out my tutorial. Also, this build is completely CC free and unmodded in the gallery because the tool mod does not affect the gallery upload. So you can go to the gallery and grab this from the gallery if you want to. You can find all the information in the description. I just want to mention this. Overall, I tried to just combine different shapes. I have a round shape at the bottom, a round foundation piece or floor piece, but then I have this triangular shaped room at the bottom where I used the snowy escape windows. I just love them so much. And later on I'm going to build a sunroom, and originally I just wanted to have a sunroom that is just additionally, so I would have a living room and all that, and then a beautiful sunroom. But eventually I ended up using the sunroom as the main living room, which is kind of cool, especially when you think of this as a vacation home probably. So it's really bright and sun flooded, and furnishing this was so much fun because I always try to stay in this kind of style when I'm furnishing. You want this to look like some type of lodge or mountain cabin or something. This is just always so interesting. Here I'm raising the train, and you can already tell that I'm pretty much running out of space. I wanted to add another room just to make the shape more interesting, because at this point, or up until this point, it was super symmetrical, and I just wanted to add something different on each side. So I added this room and this roof over here, and then I built some trellis using half walls just to make it not super symmetrical. I love when a build is symmetrical, but it also easily looks very boring or simple, so I just wanted to add something to make it more special and more fun. And yeah, I'm also going to do the same on the right side where I'm building the sunroom that I just mentioned, but here I'm still working on the trellis. I used a wall decoration from the base game just so it looks more like a proper trellis. I love this little wall decoration so much because you can use it for trellis, but also when you build some Oasis Springs themed builds kind of. And here I'm adding lots of plants. I used some debug plants, I think, but just different ones just to make it look really natural and kind of overgrown. As I said earlier, I wanted to have this mix of a really clean modern design and something really rustic, and that's what I was going for. I then decided to add some trellis in between. This isn't super symmetrical because I only built the chimney on the right side, so the trellis on the right side, they are just a bit smaller. And I just love these plants from the Romantic Garden Stuff pack. When you place them on top of a roof, it just looks so beautiful, so quaint, so scenic, just so stunning. I also used a little trick where I built a room and then I used the sledgehammer tool to remove the ceiling, and then I just added a fence around it so I could add an exterior trim, and this way I could place the chimney inside the room, and this way only the top is sticking out. I didn't want to place the chimney, the cats and dogs chimney, on top of the room. I wanted it to be like kind of hidden in the room, so only the top would be visible. In my opinion, this looks much more realistic. It always looks a bit weird when you build a room and then just a random chimney on top. It's just never lining up. They don't have the same dimensions as a room. They are always a bit smaller, and I don't know, I like this. This is just a little trick that I can recommend. And here I just built the sunroom. I used a combination of my beloved snowy escape windows and the island living glass floor. They have the same dimensions, they have the same color, and this window just changed my life. Like sometimes when a pack comes out and new stuff is just added to the game, you just sometimes stumble upon new objects that you will use over and over again and that are kind of game changing. And for me, this window has been game changing because I really like the island living glass floors, and some of you might remember how I always rotated them using tool. This was fine as well, but it was really tedious, and it's also not a window, so you couldn't create fully closed rooms using this method because you just created some fake rooms using a rotated island living glass floor. So this was really game changing. Also, at this point back then, you couldn't select rocks or this object when you use tool. Like an update changed this and it's possible now, but like this was like super tedious back then, and I'm just so happy that we got these windows. I'm just really excited. I'm of course also super excited for cottage living, and I'm really excited if there will be some really game changing objects. I'm really excited for the pack. I watched the gameplay trailer and it looks so stunning. Anyone who's been around here for a while knows that I really enjoy the idea of a farming pack. I've talked about this so often, and when people have asked me what pack are you hoping for, I usually said farming. Like I'm also excited for some other things, but I totally wanted to have a farming pack, so I'm super excited, and I'm just really stoked that there are so many different animals. The only thing that kind of disappoints me just a little bit, I talked about this on Twitter, is the fact that we have this default animal shed, I think they called it, so you can't really build proper stables the way we could in Sims 3, which is fine. And you can totally build a house around it, which is what I'm planning to do. I just want to build my own version, and then I'm going to hide the new object inside there. It's like some type of rabbit hole. So you have a pre-made little animal shed, and then there's like this doorway. It's just like a black hole. You can't see anything on the inside, and then a cow, for example, is just spawning and walking out, and we will see what's going to happen. Also, something that's kind of a really exciting theory. I don't know if it's true. We don't know yet. But the Sims Donut on Twitter said that he assumes that possibly this object could just be like a spawner. So when you would use tool to just make it smaller or something, we could just be left with a cow maybe or something. I don't fully remember what he said, but maybe that could be a trick using the tool mod to just have the cow and then you can just build your own stables or something. I don't know, we will see. I'm always excited about stuff like this, just figuring things out, and there will be so much to discover regarding building tricks and just new things when the pack comes out. I'm just so excited. I love anything that's kind of scenic in this game. I'm not really someone who's into, I don't know, steampunk builds or stuff. I love to look at them. But when I'm building, I like to build like beautiful mansions in the mountains or something. And a farming pack and the whole cottage idea, it's just so scenic and beautiful. And I just love this. And I'm just so excited to build something for you once the pack comes out. It feels like ages since they've announced it, and we still have a couple of weeks to go, but I'm just so ready for this, and I'm pretty sure you are ready as well. Yeah, and here I'm furnishing, and I'm super proud of what I did when I built the chimney on the inside, when I built the staircase. I think it's super unique on the inside, like the layout. Here I'm also centering it, so in case anyone was kind of annoyed by this and thought, oh my god, why isn't this in the center? It now is. I almost forgot, but then I thought, no, I'm going to build this in the center. This just annoys me. I want this to be perfect. I mean, the outside is super symmetrical and lined up, so I had to do the same for the chimney situation. I wish there would be some fake antlers to put on the chimney as a decoration. Maybe there is. I wasn't sure. Like, I was so confused. I thought there was something like this, but then I couldn't find it. I'm not sure. This here is the dining room. It's a super open floor plan, but what I did was I used fences, spandrels, and columns to separate the inside. So it's very open, very luxurious, and super huge, but at the same time, it's separated, so we have different areas. The kitchen also isn't the biggest, which is kind of really uncommon for me, because we all know that I enjoy to build a overly huge kitchen. That's what I do for my mansions, but this one will be a little bit smaller, but I really like the look. Also, I used so many windows all over the build, so it's really sun flooded that the windows are kind of the star of the show, in my opinion. I didn't place lots of paintings or wall decorations because there are windows everywhere. Here, for example, I'm working on the kitchen and we have these beautiful windows, and I just embraced it. I just decided to use a shelf to expand the counter space a bit, which isn't really functional, but I just wanted to have this look. And I love how this turned out. At first I wasn't sure which swatch to use for the kitchen, but then I decided to use this one because the counters now have a pretty identical color to some of the columns that I used. So the wallpaper, this wooden wallpaper, has a different swatch, but it all kind of fits and matches. And here you just saw how I placed some shelves. I also wanted to have some type of really tiny breakfast area, so I just used one tiny dining table and 2 chairs, and then we have some bar stools, of course, so your Sims could just quickly grab something to eat, cook something, sit down and eat, or you have this massive dining area if you have some guests around. So it's like really huge, like some type of fancy Lake Tahoe mansion. Also, speaking of lakes, I'm so ready for the pond tool, my friends. I'm so ready. The pond tool will be a base game update, and it will drop before the pack comes out. And I'm just so ready for this. I've created so many lakes using the pool tool, and I'm just ready to build a proper lake. And I know that Sims won't be able to swim in ponds, but I don't care. When I was building all these lakes, usually in some cases I just blocked them off so they just looked fancy, just for decoration, just to create an environment for a mansion. So I never really cared that Sims couldn't really enter the lakes that I built when I blocked them off, just because I used so many rocks or something. So I think it's alright for me that the pond won't be functional. It will look beautiful, and I'm just going to build a pool in a mansion so Sims can still swim. We will figure this out somehow. This will be amazing. Here you can see the living room in the sunroom. I used some curtains from Get Famous, I think, and then I started to furnish the bedrooms. There are 5 bedrooms in total, I think. I tried to have a good mix, so there are some regular bedrooms, a master bedroom, and then some kids' rooms. As I said, you could use it to go on vacation with your Sims, but you could also use this as a residential lot. This lot is 50 by 50. There is a 50 by 50 lot in Willow Creek, for example. Actually, there are 2 in Willow Creek alone, I think. There's one in Oasis Springs. So there are different lots where you could place this. Of course, I designed this after the whole vibe and feel of Granite Falls, but if you just want to have a fancy mansion like this in Willow Creek, why not? This is one of the kids' rooms. It's super yellow, super happy, super bright. There are windows going all around the room, so this was a bit tricky, so I tried to make the best of it. I didn't want to change the layout, so that's what I did. And also you can see in the back behind this bedroom, there's some island living glass floors on the inside, and this is why the light is so stunning in the kitchen or in front of the kitchen. I don't know if you noticed, but it just looks so beautiful. The light is just so beautiful in this game sometimes. And this is it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a perfect day and that you had a great time watching this. I hope you liked the build. This build is available in the gallery. My ID is KateEmerald. You can find all the information in the description. And now it's time to thank my wonderful Emerald Patreons. A big thank you to Brinier Wilcox, Jennifer Lewis, Kellen Renee, Molly, Green Uring, Talena Lynn, Tamika Mitchell, and Victoria Smithies. Thank you so much, and a big thank you to all my other Patreons, and thank you to anyone who watches my videos and supports me. Thank you so much. I love you so much, and yeah, I hope you have a perfect day, and I hope I see you in the next video. Bye bye!